in my free time is to roleplay with my friends. And today, I'm going to walk you through creating a Dark Heresy character. Dark Heresy is part of the Warhammer game, which is a really big RPG game that's really famous with a lot of people. In Dark Heresy, you play as a soldier that's been recruited by the Inquisition to fight out heresy against the Emperor. Sounds kind of complicated, but I'm going to walk you through creating your Dark Heresy character. To create your Dark Heresy character, you need a couple of things. You're going to need a hardback copy, paperback copy, or correctly downloaded PDF of the Dark Heresy core rulebook. You're going to need a D100 or 2 D10s if you can't find one, a D5. You're going to need a couple pencils, an eraser, and a printed copy of one of the many different kinds of Dark Heresy character sheets. This is really what the basic Dark Heresy character sheet looks like. It's where you're going to begin to list, just really everything about your character and everything your character withholds. Now, the first step in creating your Dark Heresy character is going to be to roll for your home world. Rolling for your home world consists of one thing. You roll a D100, and after that, you follow the chart provided in the core rulebook. The chart 1 of 1, which is rolling your random home world, gives you a list of 1 through 100, which is where you're going to put your roll. If you roll a 35, it's going to go between 21 and 45, just for an example. And it provides you with one of 4 worlds: the Feral, the Hive, the Imperial, which is the most common, and the Void. Take a moment to read this section, that way you get a real feeling for what your character is and where they come from. Then you write this on your character sheet in the appropriate section. The next step is going to be all about getting your character's generalized characteristics. Now, table 1 of 2 in the core rulebook just is going to give you an example of how weak or how strong each one of your rolls is going to be. The next table, table 1 of 3, is the characteristics. Now, this is very simple. Take 2 D10s, find the world you just rolled, and ignore all the rest. Don't pay any attention to any world unless it is yours. Then you're going to roll the 2 D10s for each one of the statistics listed in the chart, and you're going to add the appropriate modifier that it gives you in the chart for your world. It's going to give you a weapon, ballistic, strength, toughness, agility, intelligence, perception, willpower, and fellowship score. You're going to write these after adding them to your appropriate modifier on the appropriate section of your character sheet. The next step is going to be determining a career path, and you're going to do this with a D100 also, just like you rolled your home world. On the chart, as you just did, ignore any world that is not the one that you rolled, and roll the D100. After rolling the D100, you're going to go down the chart given for the world that you rolled, and you're going to find the career you rolled. It can be an adept, arbitrator, assassin, cleric, guardsman, imperial psyker, scum, or tech priest. Now, if you roll the imperial psyker, again, write this in the appropriate section of your character sheet. We're going to move on to the next chart. The next chart is really, rolling a D100, and it gives you your side effect. This is going to be very important for the imperial psyker, so write that in the appropriate section of your character sheet also. Making any notes necessary. The next step is all about determining four things, Your starting wounds, your fate points, finding what movement you have in the game, and your starting wealth, which can or cannot be important. Always ask your DM first. To roll your starting wound, again, ignore any world that is not yours. Roll a D5 and add the given modifier for the world that you rolled. Write that on your character sheet. The next step is going to be your fate points. Do this the exact same way. Ignore any world that's not yours, but this time roll a d10 and find the appropriate fate point number. The next table, table 1 of 8, which is movements per meter per round, is a little bit different. You go back to the generalized characteristic that you rolled for your character, find your agility score, and identify the first number. It can be a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then you go across the chart. It's the same for every world, every class. And it's going to give you a half, a full, a charge, and a run speed. It's important to keep those in mind. Keep those written on your character sheet. The next step is going to be pretty simple. And there are 2 different sections, build and age, and coloration and quirks. You're going to do both these the exact same way. You're going to ignore any world you didn't roll. Ignore male if you're female. Ignore female if you're male. You're going to then roll a D100, and you're going to go across the chart in the world that you rolled, and it's going to give you what your male or your female weighs and how tall they are. Keep in mind this is in the metric system. The next table, table 1 of 11, is going to be age. Exact same way. Ignore any world that's not yours. Roll a D100, and then go to the parentheses section of whatever you rolled. Roll a D10 and add the modifier. That's going to tell you how old you are. And also write all of these in the appropriate section of your character sheet. The next step, in step 5, or part 2, is going to be all about your coloration and your quirks. You're going to do this the exact same way you just rolled your height and your weight. You're going to ignore the world that's not yours. Ignore, like I said, ignore the world that's not yours. Roll a D100. You're going to then follow the chart in the appropriate world. It's going to give you your skin color, your hair color, and your eye color. Write those on your character sheet. Sometimes you might not get what you want. It's always okay. It's just a game. Next, you're going to do your quirk. Same way you did your age. Ignore any world that's not yours. Roll that D100, and it's going to give you your quirk. Sometimes you might not have one. Sometimes you might have a fun one. The final step for rolling your Dark Heresy character is going to be finding your divination. Your divination is going to be a sentence that really gives you what your character believes and what that belief gives them as a modifier to their personality. Now, these can be really anything from something crazy to something sweet. And using this in the game can be an up. Using it in an appropriate situation can give you an up by the DM. Then you're just going to roll a D100. You're going to find what section it works with, and you're going to write this divination on your character sheet. After generalizing this character for your Dark Heresy role-playing game, you're really going to be ready to play. Sometimes you might have to wait, and sometimes you might not. In fact, I think we're getting ready to play now, so I've got to go. Thanks.